Hi guys, this is Minerva from Matt Bean Immigration and Dreams World Travel. Thank you for joining and welcome back to our channel. So today was a very informative day. We have just wrapped up day one of our summit, which is the Great Canadian Immigration Summit that was put on as told by Canadian immigrants in collaboration with Dreams World Travel and Matt Bean Immigration Consulting, Inc. Today we covered topics such as how to get a letter of acceptance into a college or university, and what happens next in applying for your study permit, and how that can actually help you towards your permanent residency. So yes, a study permit is an immigration pathway to getting your permanent residence by being eligible for what is called a postgraduate work permit. And I have a full video on everything you need to know about a postgraduate work permit. I'll put the link in the description below and you'll be able to go ahead and check out that video if you have already not, right? So I just thought of making this video to just touch on a few points on the do's and the don'ts of applying for a study permit. Right? So we'll touch on the do's, right? So when you're applying for a study permit, there are certain criteria that you have to meet and you would want to prove to the visa officer. One of those components is being able to prove your finances, right? So once you're able to prove your finances, you're going to take into consideration your tuition fee, your living expenses, and your accommodation, right? So you would do your research, see what your tuition fee is like, and then in addition to your tuition fee, you're going to have to show additional funds for your living expenses and your accommodation, right? Second thing to note, and it's very important, is that if your program has a co-op segment to it, then when applying for your study permit, ensure that you also apply for a co-op work permit, right? So that is what is going to enable you to work full-time once you have completed the theory aspect of your program, and then moving on to your internship or co-op part of your program, right? Third thing to note, always include a statement of purpose or a letter of explanation. This is where you get to fully explain to the visa officer why you want to come to Canada to study, right? So please do not include things like, well, I'll put that in the don'ts, but I'll just put it here as well. Canada is such a great place and I want to move here permanently. Remember, you're applying for a temporary resident visa and not a permanent resident visa. So you have to know how to articulate your letter of explanation or your statement of purpose, which the main thing that should hit home with the visa officer is why you want to come to Canada to study, and of course, how your intention of leaving Canada at the end of your stay, right? The next, number 4, is to keep documentation of all your documents. So from your letter of acceptance to your approval letter to that point of entry letter. Again, that is very important. You may not be landed. So after you have been approved, the Canadian Embassy or consulate will send you what is called a point of entry letter or introduction letter that should be presented at the airport when you arrive, and that is what they use along with other documents to process your study permit at the border, right, or at the airport. So make sure you have a nice little file and you put all of those important documents there to take with you when you are coming to Canada, right? So let's move on to the don'ts. Do not, number one, do not send in an incomplete application. Check your checklist. Make sure that all documents that are requested, which is your proof of funds and other information such as your letter of acceptance and your statement of purpose, make sure, or your letter of explanation as some of us know it, make sure all of those are encompassed in your study permit application to give yourself a better chance of approval and not being rejected for an incomplete application, right? Um, Second thing to note, do not, as I was putting that in the letter of explanation or in any part of your application process, do not indicate to the visa officer that you have any intention of staying permanently in Canada, even if that's your intention, because the requirements for that visa that you're applying for, it means that you have to show that you are returning home at the end of your stay. So people might say, but I want to stay, work, and then work towards my permanent residency. That's okay. There are immigration pathways to lead you to that, which after your studies, you would apply for your postgraduate work permit and then be able to apply for your, or be eligible to apply for your permanent residency. But that should not be indicated in your study permit application. I hope this was useful nuggets for you. I just thought of making this short video just to include the do's and the don'ts, right? So stay tuned for the rest of the summit. I will put a link to, or I'll tag as told by Canadian immigrants, and you can go on her page and you will see the full details of the rest of the summit. And we have very informative days leading up until Saturday. So go ahead and check this out. Thank you for staying tuned. Give a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, and hit your notification bell to know when new content is being loaded. And for this and any other immigration advice, please book a complimentary 15-minute, no obligation consultation with us, and we'll be able to guide you accordingly. Thank you and see you in the next video.